It's Wednesday, September 1st, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Government is adding to the number of beds for COVID-19 patients, expanding testing, opening new quarantine stations, and commissioning 2 new vaccination buses amid a new wave of infections driven by the Delta variant. That's according to Health and Wellness Minister, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic. This latest COVID-19 response will cost over $47 million. Minister Bostic spoke about the plans during the supplementary estimates in Parliament on Tuesday.
We had 2 or 3 schools identified as possible isolation facilities. We've subsequently expanded that number, and we've done the site visits to be able to deal with that. And in fact, at this point in time, we have both Blackman Gollop and the Darrell Jordan secondary schools in operation at this point in time. So that's an example of that. And so we've expanded isolation facilities, including hotel isolation. This obviously requires some additional funding to be able to provide the services that are required, the human resource, the supplies, and so on. We've also had to enhance our capacity to swab persons, take samples, and to test and to return results in a timely manner. And this also required expanding the services and the equipment and personnel. But above all, we had to make sure that we had enough personal protective equipment available and all of the supplies that we require to sustain this fight.
Minister Bostic also spoke about the upgrades taking place at the Harrison Point facility.
We, at this point in time, are not overwhelmed, but we can get there. We can be. That's what is happening elsewhere. We are protecting the country because we've always strived to keep as far as possible the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is the lone tertiary hospital in this country, secondary tertiary, unlike larger countries that have multiple hospitals in different states and so on that they can call in resources. We don't have that luxury. And so that is why we spent money to refurbish Harrison Point. And at this point in time, we are doing some additional work at Harrison Point, recognizing the extent of the Delta variant and the kind of symptomatic experience that has been going on in other countries, with a lot of the positive cases being symptomatic. We've taken the decision to transform what is now secondary isolation to be more like primary isolation by now putting in oxygen into that building so that they will have their own oxygen. We're looking to put perhaps oxygen even in tertiary isolation at this point, and also medical air and some of those things that are very, very necessary because we recommend.
Attorney General Dale Marshall has defended the government's hiring of private lawyers to provide a legal representation for the state. Responding to a recent newspaper article on the matter, Marshall argued that the Solicitor General's department was understaffed. He was speaking in Parliament on Tuesday.
The office of the Solicitor General is a small office. We have about 20 lawyers. And while that may seem like 20 lawyers and a lot, those lawyers are divided into litigation, they're divided into contracts, and they're divided into advisory. And those lawyers do work for every single arm of government. Just about every single piece of legal paper that has to pass through or has to having to do with government of Barbados, it makes its way through the office of the Solicitor General. There are hundreds of cases filed every year, some of them of tremendous import and others trifling, but there are hundreds of cases filed every year that require the input of the Solicitor General. They require the litigation skills of the Solicitor General. But the simple fact is that it is a small department that is overworked.
The Attorney General said the government had no choice but to employ the private lawyers, given the workload of the attorneys in the Solicitor General's office.
The lawyers at the SG's chambers are operating in circumstances where today you may be at work as a lawyer, and tomorrow they call you and tell you you're the magistrate at District A, and you're there for 6 months, so the work comes to an end. They then call you and tell you, well, you're back in chambers for a month, but you know what? After that, you're going to be supervised of bankruptcy. These are the things that present difficulty. Now, you may not worry about that on the average case, but on matters of significant import, it is important for the government to provide the best legal to obtain the best legal representation that it can, and to see the matters through quickly. I am proud of what we've done, and I'm satisfied with the benefit that this government has achieved, and we've done it in a way that has been cost effective.
2 men are nursing injuries following a shooting incident at the Arsenal playing field, Jackson, St. Michael last night. Police say the incident occurred near the area of a shed around 7:54 p.m. One man received injuries to his face and shoulders, while the other received a wound to his right knee. They were both transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in private motor vehicles. Police investigations are ongoing. Public security and transnational crime fighting in Barbados and other Caribbean states are in line for a major boost under the Carry Secure Citizen Security Program. Officials from the United States Agency for International Development and the United Nations Development Program joined forces with the Regional Security System to officially launch the project in Bridgetown. Addressing the opening of a 2-day conference on Tuesday, RSS Executive Director Captain Irwinton Sherland said there were a number of factors currently compounding crime-fighting efforts in the region.
COVID-19 and the countermeasures implemented to address this public health threat not only impacted transnational and transregional threat vectors, but also the commission of other localized crime. With the altered conditions of criminality in the region, it is imperative that as a region we identify and respond to the changing national, transnational, regional, and transregional trends. If we are to be honest in our assessment of our criminogenic environments, I'm sure that you would all agree that we've experienced an emergence in non-traditional security threats such as global warming, global health pandemics, and cyber attacks. In addition, it is very possible that these structural shifts in our security environment also interface with other risk and protective factors that further compound the issues of crime and violence.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
2 developments in our region now. 3 of Guyana's largest trade unions take joint legal action against the government's vaccination policy. We get more in this report from News Source, Guyana.
Three of Guyana's largest trade unions, the Guyana Trade Union Congress, the Guyana Public Service Union, and the Guyana Teachers Union have joined forces in a court action against the government over its vaccination policy, which has resulted in hundreds of workers who are unvaccinated against COVID-19 being locked out of their jobs. The court action names the Attorney General Adel Nandlal as the respondent on behalf of the Guyana government. The three unions are seeking a number of orders, declarations, and injunctions. Through Attorney Darren Way, the unions want the court to declare that the health emergency measures made by the President of Guyana and published in the official gazette was made in excess of the President's jurisdiction under Section 21 of the Public Health Ordinance. The presidential declaration was first made under former President David Granger and continues under the current President Irfan Ali. The applicants contend that although there is a central board of health, the president and the minister of health have not relied on that board for advice and recommendations as is required by the Constitution. The attorney contends that the declaration made by the president amounts to an unconstitutional delegation of the president's powers and infringes on the Constitution.
Finally, the wife of assassinated Haitian President Jovenel Moïse issues another call for help in finding those responsible for her husband's death. She spoke with Reuters TV.
I won't stop asking for justice until justice is found.
The wife of Haiti's slain president, Jovenel Moïse, has made a direct plea to the international community to help find his killers. In an interview with Reuters, Martine Moïse said she was determined to get justice for her husband, who was gunned down in a late-night raid by suspected mercenaries at the couple's home in July. Moïse's murder plunged the Caribbean nation, already plagued by hunger and gang violence, further into chaos and triggered a hunt for the masterminds across the Americas.
Every country that can help, please help, because the people that did that are still out there. And I don't know if their name will ever be out.
Nearly 2 months on from the assassination, certain aspects of the murder remain shrouded in mystery. Haitian police have arrested more than 3 dozen suspects, including 18 Colombian mercenaries, an obscure Haitian-American doctor they say aspired to be president, and the head of Moïse's security team. But they have made public little in the way of evidence, and one judge investigating the case has stepped down, citing security concerns. The former First Lady says she's losing faith in the process and hopes the FBI will be able to help.
I'm asking myself, will they ever find the people that really have to be found? Because those people, they did it, but someone give the orders, someone paid the money.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.